Lokati here. We are doing our last Witch Ascendancy on the the T17 One Divine Budget series. We're going to be doing an Abomination map. We have 49% more monster life. Monsters gain power charges, mines, buffs. Nothing really sketchy here. Area has chilled ground. Just monsters are going to take a little bit longer to kill in this. We're doing an Arakaali's Fang build with Firestorm, Repelty, and Detonate Dead on cast when stunned. The play is fairly straightforward here. You're just going to walk around, let things hit you, and then let Firestorm and Detonate Dead, and your spiders kill everything. It's going to take a little bit on the first pack here because we get our spiders built up here. We're using Penance Mark and Prey to keep our spiders up more often versus single targets like the boss. And then we're using Prey support or Predator support with the Prey command to force the spiders to target the boss so that we are the ones that are killing the specters that spawn from the Hateful Accuser ring. As you can see, clear is fairly straightforward, and as long as there's nothing squirrely on your map, you should tank everything perfectly fine. Volatile cores are a little bit of a bitch on this build because you do spend more time standing still. And when you're killing these monsters out here, you can just go ahead and put a Penance Mark on them if you want to increase the number of targets that are around to get your cast when stunned higher. And if there are any big priority targets, feel free to mark them as prey as well if you want to make sure that your spiders are focusing on them. Whenever a target is marked as prey, the spiders do 23% more damage, I believe. And so as you can see, even tanky rares go down fairly quickly. We'll go ahead and move along through here and start looking for the bosses. Usually the bosses are like kind of a Fibonacci spiral away from the center of the area here. So you go down and around. I know most Arakaali spider builds use the writhing jar flasks in order to keep their spiders perpetuated, but that's really wonky playstyle sometimes. It gets really uncomfortable if you're out of life splash charges at a point in time where your spiders are all dead. So the Hateful Accuser ring just gives us a second option for maintaining the uptime on our spiders, especially versus bosses. Oh, it's the shrine. Keeps healing everything. Normally we avoid shrines, but I clicked on that one. As you can see, we're tanky enough with or without the shrine. like the bosses were not in the expected place this time, so we'll get around to them. There we go. Now I typically prefer to kill Dodre in here first because the monoliths are really annoying later on in the game, so we'll go ahead and put a penance mark and a prey target on Dodre. And as you can see, our damage versus single target is really solid. Spiders are doing the majority of the work, although Firestorm and Pelting does do an appreciable amount of damage. Since we are a punishment build, we use punishment to debilitate the targets. They do less damage to us, as well as to give us more damage during the execute phase. Your prey support debuff is a 13-second duration, so make sure you're recasting that once every 13 seconds or so. As far as DPS goes, we've got about 1.2 million DPS out of the spiders, and then roughly 200 to 300k DPS out of the Detonate Dead and out of the Firestorms, depending on how frequently you're getting hit. Now with Dodre dead, we're going to get these monoliths that spawn. The monoliths put debuffs on us that cause us to do less damage and take more damage. We're going to go ahead and kill the green monolith first because that is debuffing us with dealing less damage from us and our minions. And we'll probably just let the red monolith stand. I think we're going to be able to tank this just fine. And we'll go ahead and mark Chaperone as our next kill. So while we're waiting for Chaperone to die, we'll talk about things a little bit. We are running Cast and Stun, Firestorm and Pelting, and Detonate Dead and Scavenging, and Awaken Firepin support on there. Again, this could be regular Firestorm, regular Detonate Dead, and regular Firepin support. Just depends on what you have available or what you have to spend. This is the level 1 Awakened Fire Pin. So it's roughly the same damage as a level 20 Fire Pin support. I think regular Fire Pin is 34%, and this one's 35% pin. Firestorm of Pelting, if you don't want to purchase it, is easily farmable in Uber Labs. Same goes for Detonate Dead of Scavenging. These are both just a little bit more damage than the non-transfigured versions of the gems. Our Kali's Fang is currently bound with Unbound Ailments, Predator Support, and Void Manipulation. We're going for poison damage primarily as the way that we are killing bosses. There's Tempest Shield, Eternal Blessing, and Determination bound onto our shield here. And then we're running Summon Carrion Golem and Feeding Frenzy Support and Desecrate bound to our Cast and Stun on our boots. On our gloves. On our boots we are running Cast and Stun, Bone Offering, and Punishment. So we have our Curses automated as well as our Bone Offering automated. And then we have a Flame Dash for movement skill so that we can get out of stuff that we need to get out of. The fuck just killed me? We would like to know. These builds are not immortal. They're just incredibly tanky. I would imagine we caught like a stray crit slam there. When you don't have spiders up, again, you just penance mark something, let Cast and Stun kill the specters that spawn, and then your spiders will continuously spawn. In hindsight, we probably should have gone ahead and killed the red totem, because now we're going to deal with Dodri and the Chevronis spirits. And so we may have to play a little dodgy here. I mean, we're not doing anything else. We can just move away from explosions. Oh, look at all the cute little spiders just chipping away at that monolith. Behaving themselves with the prey target. Good little spiders. Alright, we'll go ahead and set our prey onto Malagaro and kill Malagaro next. Now for scaling the build, obviously you have the option of running a Squire, and you can use a Squire to summon your spiders with, or you can just equip a Squire and use that in the general process of fighting. But swapping the Squire on and the Squire off for when you need to summon the spiders is an option for you to scale them better. And we got the big guy. Here the fight is pretty straightforward. You put your penance mark on him, you put prey on him, and then you don't stand in puddles. You'll put puddles on the ground that give you a debuff. It'll either be a damage debuff or the red puddle will be a damage taken debuff. As we discussed before, we are a punishment build, so a lot of our damage is going to come towards the end of the fight as the bosses have less than 50% of their health. So we'll see the damage ramp up a little bit as we go past 50% here. And boss is dead. T17 is complete. Let's take a look at our character inside POB. Alright, so we went over the skills and how everything works there. On our items, we are running our Kali's Fiend Dagger. We're running a Shaper Shield that you'll just buy a base Shaper Shield for 1 to 5 Chaos, and then alt spam it until you hit Recover Life when you block. And then benchcraft on something useful, increased block if you didn't land the increased block is preferred. On our helmet, we're just searching for an Immolate plus Concentrated Effect helmet. There are dozens of these available at any given time, usually ranging from 10 to 20 Chaos, as just kind of failed Shaper helmets that Righteous Fire characters were using, because they don't have as much benefit from Immolate. For our chest piece, we are using a Chaos Heart. Take a look for a corrupted version that has something useful on it. They're very cheap. On our gloves, we're just using Life plus Res gloves. We're using Windscreen Greaves. We're using a Rosary Amulet. This just helps us with our attributes, our life, and our resistances. These are very, very cheap. We're using a Hateful Accuser ring, which again is very cheap. A Valerian Moonstone ring. Get these corrupted for very cheap and find something useful for the 5 to 10 C range typically. And we're using a Darkness and Throne Stygian Vice. We have a Hallowed Gaze Ghastly Eye Jewel here, and another one here. These are just life plus minion damage, minion accuracy, something useful on them. And then we're running a Topaz Flask, a Ruby Flask, a Granite Flask, a Jade Flask, and an Amethyst Flask. We bought the cheapest Blood Notch and the cheapest Immutable Force we could find. And then we're running a couple more Ghastly Eye Jewels. Well, one more Ghastly Eye Jewel, and then a Stat plus increased max life jewel here. And that finishes out how we're going to set our gear up. As far as our tree goes, we're taking life nodes everywhere that we can so that we can maximize our life with blood magic. We are taking block mastery here, as well as the shield block nodes here. And then we are taking armor mastery here and armor mastery here, as well as protection mastery for corrupted blood immunity and more resistances on nomadic teachings. For our offensive stats, we are taking a minion damage wheel all the way around here, including spiritual aid, so that our spells do increase damage. And then we are running Enduring Bond as well as an offensive stat here. Divine Shield is a very, very good one that you should use anytime you have even a little bit of energy shield, because the recovery that you get from it is massive and helps a lot with smaller hits and degens, things like that are occurring. So make sure you don't sleep on this node as well. It's a very, very strong one. The character did fairly well for a 1-div witch. I was a little concerned about getting all of the witches through the 1-div T17s, but all 3 of them did very good. The Necromancer has a lot of scaling options, with Arakaali's Fang being a very, very old classic build that you can look at a million guides on ways to get it better and stronger as you go. Just make sure that you are keeping your defenses in line so that you can face tank everything happily and let your immortal spiders kill everything. If you have any questions, just leave a comment down below or come hit me up on Twitch. A lot of times it's easier to answer things in person than it is in a comment thread, but I'm happy to help either way. Thank you very much. Peace.